Fans, welcome back to Sports Chat. We've got a lot more to talk about. The semifinals of the Final Four start tonight. We've got Kentucky and UConn going at it, and Butler and VCU going at it. Butler trying to reach their second Final Four in 2 years. Kentucky, trying, and UConn both have a pretty good basketball tradition. VCU, they're definitely the Cinderella story.
Yeah, they had some solid players coming back from Anthony Grant's team a couple of years ago, and Shaka Smart. He's did a pretty good job getting them ready for the tournament. They've got hot. This is the time of year you want to get hot. They hadn't made 12 three-pointers in any games all season, and they've made it in 3 other NCAA tournament games, 12 or more three-pointers.
Butler, they're not really a Cinderella story because they reached the Final Four.
Well, they played for the
last
national
year. They played,
championship last year, so it's hard to call somebody a Cinderella. Even though they're small, they lost a lot of players and probably weren't expected to get back, to the Final Four again. But it's not a big surprise like it is with VCU.
Once you get over to the other side, of course, you got UConn, who's had some issues, not unlike Bruce Pearl's.
Yeah, they're pretty much on NCAA probation right now, and Jim Calhoun will be suspended for 3 games next season. Not sure why he wasn't suspended this season, why they're allowed to participate in the Final Four, but they are. I think NCAA is very wishy-washy on what it's going to rule on things.
Right, and of course, on the other end, you've got Kentucky. Calipari's not exactly known for being the cleanest nose in basketball.
No, he's been this. Technically, it's his 3rd Final Four, but if you look at the NCAA record books, it's his 1st.
In fact, he was even asked about it by a reporter and did not like the question, surprisingly enough.
No, not at all. But yes, his 2 previous Final Fours were, of course, vacated from Memphis and UMass for quite a bit of widespread NCAA violations that were going on under his watch.
So what we're basically saying here is, Wildcat fans, don't get too happy about this one because if history repeats itself, and it has a tendency to do so, this one may get vacated. And of course I'm pulling for VCU myself just because they are the out-and-out underdogs of this tournament.
They or Butler, either one winning would probably be the biggest and best story. UConn has at least 2 national championships. Kentucky has 7, so either one of those winning wouldn't be a big surprise. And personally, on a just a personal level, I'm going to cheer against Kentucky no matter who they play.
Right. If the Communist Chinese brought a team over to play Kentucky, I'd be go red.
Yeah,
I don't know about that one.
I would. I don't like.
I don't like the Chi Coms, don't get me wrong, but I really hate Kentucky.
We're no fans of commies, but
In fact, we hate commies.
the Wildcats are not.
G.I. Joe will be very disappointed in both of you.
That's true.
I assume that G.I. Joe probably hates Kentucky too.
Yeah, we're going to work under that assumption. On the women's side, Tennessee is out.
Yeah.
They lost a pretty good Notre Dame team.
Notre Dame was 0 for 20 against Tennessee, so you knew they were going to win one eventually, but it just happened to be it. Playing for the Final Four on the line, that's when it happened.
There's Pat Summitt looking to shorten her bench a little bit. Shorten her rotation, find some people who want to step up to the plate.
And I'll say this for women's basketball. It's still much more one-sided than men's basketball. I think the Final Four is a 1 seed versus a 2 seed and 1 seed versus a 2 seed. I mean, that's better than, previous. Used to women's seed, it would just be 4 1 seeds for the most part. Maybe an occasional 2 seed, but it's getting a little more balance to it. So Tennessee's, it doesn't help just to get the best players anymore. And Tennessee has 9 McDonald's All-Americans, the Lady Vols do, and you would think they would have the best talent, but it's a little closer than it used to be when they or UConn just wipe the floor with everybody they play.
Of course, UConn, at this point, I'm not sure they weren't ever, but they got to be the odds-on favorite to win.
Well, Stanford did beat them this year, and Stanford's still in it, but
That's true.
UConn's got Maya Moore, and she's the best player in women's college basketball, and usually that's honestly the team that wins. The team that has the best player. We did it with Candace Parker, we did it with Shamika Holtzclaw, they did it with Maya Moore the last couple of years. They did it with Rebecca Lobo. They did it with what's the girl? Diana Taurasi.
Taurasi.
You know, they won several in a row with her. It's just whoever has the best player in women's basketball tends to win the tournament. That almost never happens on the men's side of things.
Right, and you know, on other levels of sporting events, on the collegiate level, SEC play started in baseball. Tennessee's sort of starting to fall back into previous form. They started out really strong in their non-conference schedule. Once you get into the SEC, I mean, it's that way in any sport, but baseball just as much as any of them, just such a tough field to play.
The SEC is such a dominant conference in baseball that even though only 8 teams make the SEC tournament, there will be occasionally 9 or 10 teams make the NCAA tournament from the SEC. So more teams make the NCAA College World Series than actually make the SEC tournament sometimes.
Lady Vols softball not doing too terrible this year. They're off to a decent start. Time will tell how that team goes. Also,
Now, there's a big track and field meet for the UT this week with UCLA. 2 of the traditional track and field powers. Tennessee, I'm sure not a lot of people know this, they have a national championship level track team most of the time. And actually recently won it was an indoor.
they won the indoor national title. College track, of course, we're used to high school track around here. We'll get to high school track very shortly. High school track, you're literally just running outdoors. Track's a year-round thing, almost in college, because you've got the indoor season and the outdoor season. ETSU actually hosts a really major indoor meet every year. We've got a girl from Campbell County, Courtney Ward, that run track at Campbell County, sprinter. She's running track now for the University of the Cumberlands. I think she did finally decide she was going to give it a go her last year after some knee problems. And she runs really well indoor and outdoor. Courtney Day from Campbell County actually ran 2 years at the Cumberlands and then transferred to UT and ran 2 years. So, and she's a little bitty thing, but she can move.
And track, it's good to go out and support track. If somebody, it doesn't draw a lot of fans, but it's actually nice to go, watch a lot of those sports. There's a lot going on in the track meet.
You should never get bored at a track meet because there's generally at least 2 to 3 field events going on at any given time. Of course, obviously, there's rarely more than one race going on at once.
There's usually one race going on, and women's throwing event, a men's throwing event, and often the men's, women's high jump or jumping events are going on as well.
Right. I mean, we have people that do well in all of those aspects. And in fact, the pole vault started to make a comeback ever since the state decathlon got going, which we have actually, if I'm not mistaken, we have 2 state decathlon winners. Preston Young won a state decathlon, and Corey Carrington won a state decathlon at Campbell County. It's actually, in a lot of people's opinion, the hardest event on any level of sports to win because you have to excel to at least you have to go anywhere from being excelling to doing very decent at 10 separate events, both running and throwing.
It's an amazingly tough thing to do, That's why Bruce Jenner got so famous, back in the 1970s. He was a decathlete, ended up on the Wheaties boxes. Sure, many of you probably only know him now if you watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Which is unfortunate.
I feel sorry for you if you have to watch that show. But
Now, Luke and I had that discussion earlier. We miss when people were famous for good reasons.
Bruce was a decathlete on boxes of Wheaties when Patrick and I were kids. Maybe when Luke was a child too. I'm not sure
Luke
extended that far back or not.
Luke was probably more the Mary Lou Retton Wheaties box.
But
That's how we judge ages, by who was on Wheaties.
well, some of you maybe Michael Jordan Wheaties people. He was on there for a long time.
It's hard to go wrong with his airness. Speaking of track, Campbell County's track team recently competed in a meet down in Anderson County and came away pretty good. The boys actually won the overall meet.
Boys have some good relay teams this year.
Right, Gosh, they for whatever reason got disqualified in the 4x100 relay. They won
appeared
as
to win
far
the race
as
on the track, but yes, I think they won the 4x200.
the 4x400 and the 4x800, if I'm not
I believe
mistaken.
they won all the relay races.
In fact, the boys did really well in several events. Daniel Peach won the 1600 meters. And of course, Daniel, he has a bit of a connection to the Times. His mom worked at the original Times. So I've known Daniel for somewhat from growing up on to now. And yeah, he's running that 1600. He's competing well in it. You have folks, like I said, in the relay events. And on the girls' side, you've got Nicole Huckabee had an excellent showing in the 200.
Yeah, that was probably the largest individual race win we saw all day, and she just smoked the girls in her relay or her heat of the 200.
Kristen Chapman, who is, from what I can tell, ranked currently #1 in the state in high jump. Of course, won the high jump. She only managed to jump 5.4, but that's a little bit shorter than her state record. But this is a very early portion of the track season.
Right.
She's really just now getting her form back to the competition level because she's been competing on the hardwood.
And she also ran the, I believe, 300-meter hurdles.
She actually ran both hurdle events. We just happened to be at the softball game during the second heat. She ran in the second heat of the first hurdle event.
Okay.
Now, the first heat, Anderson County's Kendra Miller had an excellent showing. She's originally from Campbell County. She runs down in Anderson County. She's on their relay teams. She also runs the 200 and she hurdles. So she's an outstanding track athlete, and I can see her competing on the next level if she chooses to go that route.
We've got a lot of really good track athletes from Campbell County. Like you mentioned, Nicole Huckabee, Kristen Chapman.
And they're just a few. Like I said, Daniel Peach did really well. Our boys relay teams.
Got a girl that's really highly placed in the shot put, don't we?
Shayla Goins. Actually, I think maybe ranked 3rd in the state on shot put.
Yes.
She had a fairly dominant showing. She placed 2nd at the Anderson County meet. I don't remember who she placed 2nd to because there was so much going on and a softball game, which we'll get to the softball team and more on track in the next segment. But she, is doing really well. If you look at the website ESPNRise.com, they name track athletes that they consider, or the athletes in every sport they consider elites. And Chapman is an elite. She is, state champion as a sophomore, poised very much to win the next 2 years. Possibly set a state record, will definitely set a school record.
She's a very, very good athlete,
And this is only, the meet at Anderson County was only her 2nd meet running the hurdles, and she did excellent at it. We're looking for good things for her in the future track-wise. And on the boys' side, like I said, the relay teams are doing well. Lucas Nelson, another basketball player, he did pretty well in the 1600. Brandon Johnson, who's just started running track, in a week shaved close to 1.5 minutes off of his time of the 1600.
No.
That's, they've got good coaches. These people know what they're doing.
There's a meet at Campbell County on April the 19th.
Really would like to encourage everyone to come out to that meet.
So you come out and check out the track team. The softball team's playing at home that day. You come out and check the girls' softball team out.
Also, there's a middle school track meet this Monday, weather permitting, that we hope to see everyone at. So fans, we're going to get ready to wrap up this particular segment of Sports Chat. We will see you here for segment 3.